Hi there. This is Reading Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, Chapter 23. This chapter, which describes a dream, is very short, so we'll read the whole thing and try to make sense of it, although making sense of it is not all that challenging. There it is at the end of the corridor, a glass door, and behind it are Chris, and on one side of him his younger brother, and on the other side his mother. Chris has his hand against the glass. He recognizes me and waves. I wave back and approach the door. How silent everything is, like watching a motion picture when the sound has failed, like being in another world. Chris looks up at his mother and smiles. She smiles down at him, but I see she's only covering her grief. She's very distressed about something, but she doesn't want them to see. And now I see what the glass door is. It is the door of a coffin. Mine. Not a coffin, a sarcophagus. I'm in an enormous vault, dead, and they are paying their last respects. It's kind of them to come and do this. They didn't have to do this. I feel grateful. Now Chris motions for me to open the glass door of the vault. I see he wants to talk to me. He wants me to tell him perhaps what death is like. I feel a desire to do this, to tell him. It was so good of him to come. And wave, I will tell him it's not so bad. It's just lonely. So we know what this dream is about. And we know what the glass door is. And the glass door is, of course, somewhat, could you say, institutional. His wife's reaction is interesting. What is she grieving? She's grieving a man who's still alive. Chris seems oblivious. Maybe he doesn't know. And from what we've seen so far, he doesn't seem to have been told at any time about the actual impact that electroshock might have on a person. So we are at the origin of the loneliness we've been hearing about, and he's not just in a vault. His coffin isn't just a vault, it's an enormous vault. So he's all alone in a very big space, which kind of emphasizes the aloneness of it. I reach to push the door open, but a dark figure in the shadow beside the door motions for me not to touch it. A single finger is raised to lips I cannot see. The dead aren't permitted to speak. So the electroshock did indeed close Phaedrus's lips for quite some time. But before that, he was treated, let's just say, by figures such as this dark figure, as insane. And that part of him, that insane part of him, was considered by society so outrageous that it needed to be eliminated. So why are insane people so threatening to us? Why do schizophrenics, and just think about the schizophrenics you pass on the street corners, why do they annoy us and even anger us, and why do we mock them? Some people do mock schizophrenics. They do mock that tragic illness because their minds seem so chaotic. It's rattling to us. We just want them to go away. They don't share our mythos. It is very unsettling. So remember that Phaedrus really did die. If you lose your memory, what's left of your personality? Everything that makes you part of society has to be stored in your memory. And remember that the doctor said you have a new personality now, and we've seen it demonstrated that he actually does. I've been pointing out the difference between the two personalities in the past couple of chapters. And the way that the narrator puts it is he is a new personality now. That's more of what it feels like. But they want me to talk. I'm still needed. Doesn't he see this? There must have been some kind of mistake. Doesn't he see they still need me? I plead with the figure that I have to speak to them. It's not finished yet. I have to tell them things, but the figure in the shadows makes no sign he has even heard. A figure in the shadows, who could that be? Chris! I shout through the door. I'll see you! The dark figure moves toward me threateningly, but I hear Chris's voice. Where? Faint and distant. He heard me. And the dark figure, enraged, draws a curtain over the door. Not the mountain, I think. The mountain is gone. At the bottom of the ocean, I shout. So what is some of our thinking about the mountain so far? The high country of the mind, completely intellectual. It's Phaedrus's domain. And what's the opposite? The valley, the low country. What's the lowest country of all? The bottom of the ocean. They eradicated the mountain, Phaedrus's domain, but someone was left, and that someone is his counterpart, the other side. The side of Phaedrus whose groundedness could be described at the bottom of the system that is this person. So how high did Phaedrus go when he went to the high country of the mind? The elevation of Beartooth Pass is almost 11,000 feet. It's 10,947 feet to be exact. This is very close to the depth of the ocean if you average it. Phaedrus had done something extraordinary. He had articulated a new way of seeing reality, but he wasn't finished yet. He needed to figure out how to tell people about this new metaphysics so they could understand how this important shift away from the old metaphysics was, since this new metaphysics made complete, not just partial sense. He needed to tell people about quality and how it could actually be implemented in the world. And in that moment, he thought he was going to lose that opportunity forever. So desperately he shouts out what comes to him intuitively, that his only hope for resurrection is at the bottom of the ocean, the exact opposite place from where he's been taken. So somehow he knows he will see his son again, but in an entirely different place. And now I'm standing in the deserted ruins of the city all alone. The ruins are all around me, endlessly in every direction, and I must walk them alone. So who is walking the ruins alone? What would a world seem like to someone who couldn't engage with it? And who is someone who walks in the world but can't engage in it? Someone is a spirit, or more accurately, a ghost. But it may be a lateral drift in that liminal state until the world needs him badly enough. So this is a very good metaphor on a lot of levels. So that was an interesting segue, that little chapter, and I appreciate the break because I need a couple of weeks to work on the next chapter. It's getting intense in here. So I hope that made sense, and I will see you next week for chapter 24.